Travels by Broomstick comes to you from South Wales, the land of the dragon. Oh, and sheep. We got lots of sheep. Welcome to all you good people out there in podcast land. So, let's get the broomstick out the garage, and off we go.
An ancient well with magical healing powers and a resident grey ghost, we take you to the murky depths of history and hauntings in today's episode of Travels by Broomstick.
Today's journey takes us to Taff Well Thermal Spring in Taffs Well Park, Cardiff Road, Taffs Well, Rhondda and Taff in South Wales, which is in the UK.
Taffs Well is a geological and hydrological place of intrigue. It is the only thermal or warm water spring in Wales. The water bubbles to the surface at a constant 21 degrees Celsius, twice as warm as a normal spring. The rainwater which feeds the natural spring fell over 5,000 years ago, seeping into the ground through cracks in the bedrock, moving slowly underground to a depth of several hundred metres deep down below the South Wales valleys.
The water is then slowly heated, gaining its temperature from the natural geothermal gradient of the Earth's crust, before returning back to the surface via the pathway that runs through a geological fault, flowing into the well and resurfacing for the first time in 5,000 years, a time when the people of Wales would have been living in caves and huts, with beautiful green forests covering the landscape, where the now extinct wild wolves and brown bears would have roamed.
The spring must have been seen as something magical by the people who lived near the area and first discovered its wonderful warm waters. But the very first record of the Taffs Well thermal spring was made in 1760 by a German chemist named D.W. Linden, who, after undertaking an analysis of the water, suggested that the consumption of several pints of this spring water every day would be a good cure for rheumatism. The consumption, as well as bathing in mineral and thermal waters, was growing in popularity, and the Taffs Well thermal spring soon became a destination or perhaps a pilgrimage for those people seeking relief or a cure from various ailments and afflictions. The well waters were seen to have curative and restorative healing powers.
The spring is enclosed inside a well and a stone well house. This was constructed in the 1890s. There is a brick-built spiral staircase incorporated inside the well itself for people to get in and out of the magical well waters and bathe. It's a Grade 2 listed building, which sits in Taffs Well Park in a lovely and peaceful location, owned and maintained by the Rhondda and Taff Council.
No bathing or well water consumption is allowed today due to the health and safety legislation, with bacteria in the well water living off the iron and manganese-rich waters, forming a red scum on the surface, with bubbles of nitrogen rising from the base. But there was a time when people would line up and wait for hours for their chance to dip their bodies into these healing waters. At all hours of the day and night, there would be ailing men, women and children waiting for their turn to bathe in Taffs Well thermal spring. Women would place their bonnets on the door of the well house to ensure privacy while bathing, telling others that the well was occupied. There was room for only 2 or 3 people to bathe at one time. Men would hang their hats or trousers on the door while bathing, and people would wait for some hours until they could take their turn seeking relief from whatever ailed them.
It was said that the well waters completely cured a man who came to the spring as a cripple, but left after 2 weeks of bathing, able to run around the green meadow and enjoy life.
The emergence of the railways due to the booming coal industry in South Wales made travel a real possibility for many people. There was a railway station at Taffs Well called Walnut Bridge, which allowed direct access to the well for the rich and poor alike. The 1800s was seen as the most popular time when people came from far and wide for the magical cures and properties of the well waters. But it wasn't long until the popularity of the well diminished. People no longer believed in its curative properties or wanted to bathe in its well waters, as World War I had begun.
During the 1920s, however, the well regained popularity as a swimming pool. During the Great Depression, which left many coal miners and skilled labourers without work, so the well was transformed into an outdoor swimming pool under the newly formed Taffs Well Spa Limited. It opened in August 1929 and was filled by the naturally occurring well waters. The swimming pool was soon filled with people learning to swim, relaxing and having fun in socialising, and the popularity of the well was once again at an all-time high.
In the 1950s, a large flood caused the pool to fall into disuse and disrepair, and the doors remained closed despite local support for the well to be reopened. There were some plans for the swimming pool to reopen and some plans for the well waters to be bottled and sold, but neither came to fruition. After continued community support, the well and its well house were cleaned up and turned into a tourist attraction that featured signage with an educational audio and visual console. But a flood in 2010 caused damage to this facility, and the well and its well house remain closed to the public except for special open days. But we had the wonderful opportunity to step inside ourselves and have a little look round, guided by the keeper of the park, who was incredibly knowledgeable and obviously loved the well so much. He informed us that the best known myth or legend that was associated with the spring, apart from the water's healing properties, is that of a ghostly grey lady. The lady robed in grey frequently visited the spring at Taffs well, with many people who had witnessed her in the twilight hours wandering along the banks of the River Taff near the spring, or going on the ferry under the Garth Mountain. The stories about the mysterious grey lady were handed down through the generations, from father to son for many, many years. The story of her last appearance was around 80 years ago. A man was walking home just after sunset. His route had taken him along the Taff River and past the magical well. He had gone to fill his jug with water from the well, but as he got closer to the wondrous waters of the well, he saw that a lady dressed in a long grey robe was half submerged in the water. She beckoned to him and he hurried over to help her. Her eyes seemed to look straight into his soul, so he asked the lady what he could do for her. How could he help her? The lady asked him to hold her by both hands as tight as he could until she requested him to release her. The man did as she asked. It seemed to be an eternity as he gripped her hands, pulling her tight. He tried to pull her out of the dark waters, but she told him to cease his grip on her. A sudden stabbing pain caught him in his side, and with a sharp cry he loosened his grip, letting go of the grey lady. "Alas," she cried, "I shall remain in bondage for another 100 years, and then I must find a woman with steady hands better than yours, to hold me." And with that, she vanished into the murky depths of the well and was never seen again. So after that spooky tale, how many brooms do you give Taffs Well Thermal Spring?
Well, I'm going to give it 3.5 brooms, mainly because you can only get in on special occasions. It's not easily accessible, although you can look through the well house window, and you never know, you may see the grey lady. The park itself is very beautifully kept. There's signage so as you can read about the well and the history and everything. And on a nice sunny day like it was when we visited, it's a very pleasant area to sit and have a picnic. So what did you think?
I really liked it. I thought it was a really lovely place, but as you said, it's only open on certain days, and they are trying to fix the audio visuals and things like that. They're just being a bit slow about it. I personally really love the magic of it. I would definitely bathe in those waters. I think it's such a shame that it's just going to waste because it has all this history, and why not use it? I mean, it is a natural occurring spring which should be used. There's so many possibilities. I probably actually need to take a dunk in the waters myself to get rid of this sore throat I've got going on, but do you think it would help me?
No, I don't. I think you're beyond any kind of help, spiritual or otherwise.
Yeah, you're right, and if I drank the waters, I'd probably end up joining the Grey Lady and we could haunt the place together.
That concludes our Travels by Broomstick episode on Taffs Well. We hope you've all had a magical time.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe. We have a lot of wonderful episodes to do with magic and history and hauntings and big cats and Bigfoots and UFOs, and we have lots more coming your way.